fresh off the press as far as looking at the little extended preview that GameSpot had on the Duskbloods upcoming From Software title that appears to be melding uh PvPvE, which is always a mouthful whenever I try to say it, with FromSoft's uh particular style of gameplay. Now, I've seen this today at least twice. And I have a few talking points on it, but fresh off of it, you just watched it 16 and a half minutes or so. What's your initial reaction to this?
Where to start with it? Mechanically, it looks amazing. It makes me disappointed in what it is. Not because the concept is bad, it's just simply not my kind of game. I found myself asking myself, like, if I'd be willing to give it a shot, because, like, I have a Switch too. But, like, I just also kind of, similar to the problem, like, I had with Night Rain, eventually it was just gonna get to the point where, like, I was gonna get outpaced, and then it's gonna be the, you did, or in this case, I guess, like, it wouldn't be a team-based thing, but, like, I would still get mopped, which makes it a little better, not having, like, a teammate yelling at me. But,
Yeah, so it it's kind of like that more solo experience, but you're still gonna be having the multiplayer aspect just against someone, not with people.
yeah, and it very much depends on the game for me. Not that I haven't played those, like, exclusively multiplayer games before, whether it's co-op or going against people, MMOs. But I very much do like that, how to put I like that solo feeling, but also, like, the mechanics, like, the, like, actual fighting mechanics look so good, and I'm a sucker for the FromSoft mechanics. It looks so nice and fluid, and
So
man,
that
if I
was
don't want to get a hold of my hands on the controls, but, like, I just don't think it's gonna be my kind of game.
And I think
It's not.
that's very fair, right? Because also my initial reaction to it was, damn, this kind of looks good, right?
Yeah.
Like when they're saying all the right things, and then they're like, yeah, it's a PvPvE game, and you're like, because like we've come from the FromSoft games that are these deep explorative experiences that you really need to dive into and dig into. And it's also one of my things about Night Rain, because Night Rain is Elden Ring controls with a different coat of paint, right? Basically.
With I'd say a little bit more fluid, faster mobility, and, like,
Sure, yeah.
parkour and hardcore parkour. But, like, yeah.
Exactly. But the problem I always had with Night Rain is that they do have a baked-in story, the way that FromSoft does it, but I feel like everything moves so quickly that you never get a glimpse at it. And that's my initial reaction when it comes to the Dustbloods. It's like, hey, it looks like there's going to be these different time periods and different eras and different things to play around with, but ultimately, how
Will
much
I
of
be
that
able
are
to
you gonna get,
like,
right? Like,
yeah,
and I know
because
that,
ultimately it's a multiplayer experience, and is it going to be trapped behind the PvP wall aspect of it? Now listen, I think a lot of people want PvP from soft games. A lot of people love the PvP, wish it was more accessible even, and, like, I agree with them, and I totally don't fault them for making this game, and it does not look like a bad game. But, and I do love the mechanical aspect, but we've talked about this before. I come for the intrigue. That's what got me into Bloodborne. The difficulty, like, I found I liked difficulty, but, like, that was like a bonus, right? But, like I came for the story, and since then that's pretty much what I come for. I'm intrigued about the world and stuff, and I love the way they do their storytelling, and you kind of get to piece some things together, and maybe not everything's made clear, so you're left to kind of speculate a little bit. Like, I like that sort of thing. Um, but is like everything going to be locked? Like, am I going to pay 60, $80 for this game just to have to watch YouTube videos anyway to get what I want out of it, because everyone's going to be min-maxing the crap out of their builds, and I'm not going to be able to get a word in edgewise.
So that's something that I thought about, and then something that was kind of answered in that trailer, right?
Mhm.
So the PvP part isn't truly incentivized throughout the beginning of the run, right? So it's not like oh, you need to kill people to get a certain thing, because at the end of the day, apparently it's about like resource get, right?
Yeah.
You need to like gather up resources and so on and so forth. And then at the end, there's like this big final battle between three people. Again, intriguing, but it seems like it could be frustratingly ridiculous to like get to that point, right? Because like our exactly what you're saying, it's like they were like, "Oh, if you die, you just waste time." But also, how are you gonna why are you gonna tell people, oh, you're just gonna waste time, play this for 30 minutes?
I think this is definitely certain people's kind of game. I cannot sit here in good conscience and say it looks bad. I don't think it's my kind of experience. Maybe I'll get curious enough to try and get the game and try it out, but like, as far as like the amount of time I might need to put into it, I just don't see myself putting in the time to learn it, which again, I do find it unfortunate because it does
Mhm.
look genuinely good. It looks nice to play. I like the designs. There's a lot of things that like just like might get me like, ooh, yeah, that's so cool. But then like I remember what the nature of the beast is, right?
Yeah.
And again, I'm sure for a lot of different people it's perfectly fine for them. I'm just very picky choosy with my PvP co-op style games because I've played a lot of them where like I start kind of getting good and start understanding, and then like I just hit a ceiling where like everyone around me starts kind of getting better at it than I am, and it stops becoming fun.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being the case, because the thing we don't know yet, right?
We don't know what kind of game something another.
I think what I was trying to say is we don't know what the level of build crafting is going to be, if there's going to be any. If it's going to be like a set loadout, if there's going to be abilities that or you're slowly going to be able to like maybe raise attribute points, and there's so many unknowns of how crazy certain people are going to get with it, because it all depends on the balance of things, right? And FromSoft has been known to balance some things that don't particularly need to be balanced, especially in a single player aspect, right? Because you have the Elden Ring debate where they
You guys real bad about that one. Your Bloodhound step, right?
and the Hoarfrost that like the things that were like overpowered, right?
Horfrost still kind of is, though. It's still pretty damn good.
But the thing about it is they'll nerf that sort of thing in a single player game, right?
Yeah.
So what are
So
they
like
gonna
how will
do?
they
What are they gonna do in a PvP focused game? That's the biggest question I have, right? So is it gonna be one of those things where everybody's pretty much minding their business until the end, unless they have those trial thing, or the not the trial, the sigils that like maybe you need to kind of get into a scuffle? It is interesting enough for me to look at and be like, I feel like I would need to get in there and figure it out, but also coming from the same place where you are, where it's like, is it gonna be worth it?
Well, and even especially for you, you don't have a Switch 2, right?
No.
So like you'd have to go buy a whole ass console.
Yeah, and that's my other gripe as well. It's like FromSoft has a history of exclusivity. I get it. But
And it's
also I
worked.
feel like it has worked, but damn, I feel like it's, well, with PlayStation, you could argue that it limited the market, right? With Nintendo, I'm not going to sit there and say that they're going to be affected by that, because people will go out and
Yeah,
buy Switches because of it.
absolutely. Because then they
So,
also have all these other things, right? It's like,
so yeah, Nintendo only has to gain by locking down FromSoft. But that's the thing for me is like predominantly I play on PC, right? Will it come to PC eventually? Bloodborne didn't.
But that was
So
Sony's fault, if we're being fair.
largely yes, but also Nintendo likes their stuff, right? So
Yeah, they're even more about the exclusivity than most other
it's one of
gaming
those things is
companies.
like, am I going to bother touching? Would it even be worth it to buy a whole console for? I don't particularly think so, but
Now, from my perspective, I have to admit I'm much more likely to go and try it out now than I was before.
yeah.
For all my criticisms and stuff, I'm actually much more likely to go and at least give it a shot. Do you know how much it's supposed to be? Like what the
N-
price tag's looking like?
knowing Nintendo, somewhere between $300 and $400. I
No,
don't
but I
think
am gonna.
I don't think there's a specific price yet.
Hmm.
I would, if we're going off of like recent Switch 2 games, you're probably looking at least 70.
That's what I was thinking, 70, 80. For that, I don't know if I would do it just to try it, you know? But, like, let me put it this way. If I was, like, able to buy a copy, yes, not buy, like, borrow a copy, yeah, I would 100% go for it. And at least give it a shot, because it does look really good, but am I going to drop that much money to play however many hours and just to kind of drop it because I'm not super into it? I mean, I think with Night Rain I played it twice, maybe.
Yeah. I
Like
I
like in
played I played Night Rain a little bit more. I enjoy Night Rain for what it is, but also it didn't hold me there like Elden Ring did, right? Like it's one of those things where it's like, yes, you're going to be able to have this progression, you're going to be able to get to the next boss. A lot of FromSoft games are about, getting to the next boss, but at the same time,
and
it didn't capture that FromSoft experience to the point where I was like, I need to make it to the end. No, it was fun for a little bit.
And ultimately, like, I kind of think that's the point, right? It comes down to taste. It comes down to what you look for in a video game. And some people look for these kind of video games, whether it's, again, it's never been my thing, but like, like a Fortnite or Battle Royale thing, or like just something where you go into the PvP lobby and, have a grand old time. And again, I have a history of like dabbling here and there, but am I gonna buy a game that's explicitly that? That one's a little
Eh,
harder to say. It's just never been my thing, but for a lot of other people it is. You can even talk about games like Overwatch or Team Fortress 2. I did like play a little bit of them, but like I never got into them because it's explicitly like you get in there and it's strictly PvP or PvE or team fighting or what have you.
yeah, it's a different breed of game, right? And I think you had kind of touched on it earlier. When you're sitting in Elden Ring trying to figure out how to get between bosses and bosses, trying to power up your build and that sort of thing, right? Just the progression of it all. You don't have to worry about someone else already being at that level. You'll only need to worry about
Yeah.
yourself being at that level, right? So it becomes and I felt it in Night Rain when I played with people who were dozens more hours in than I was. I'm like, all right, well, you guys are already kitted out, and I'm just kind of chilling here, right?
Yeah, and then it's kind of like you're getting carried, and like that doesn't always feel great. Um,
That's why multiplayer games, and not to make it a discussion about multiplayer games, but in a multiplayer game where it is strictly skill on skill and not particularly what you have, it's different, right? So if Duskbloods is skill on skill and there's not really, it's more of a fighting game at that point, right?
mhm.
Does that change the dynamic? Or is it going to be one of those things where it's like, no, you're the player who has this route sorted out to the T, and you're going to pick up this item, and it's going to make you have more iframes, and you're just going to be able to wreck face in every single encounter.
Or it could be a hybrid because they're clearly trying to be different, you know.
Exactly.
It could
So,
be a mix between the two. I don't know that we know a lot about it, but I think the whole point is I don't know that I'm willing to
yeah.
drop the money to go and try and find out
because
if it's going to be for me, because there's a very good chance it won't.
and I think it's funny how they've marketed it, right? This is a game slated for this year, by the way.
Yeah.
We have 3 months, or not 3 months, but how does time work? 4 months?
What month is it releasing?
We don't know. That's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
okay.
It's releasing this year. They announced it last-ish year,
Yeah.
and then now they're like, okay, well, here's a little bit of an extended look. So it's like, it's so weird the way that they marketed it, because they're like, there's so much shrouded in mystery about it that the players aren't going to know exactly what they're doing. Now, that's not going to matter for FromSoft fans, because they're just going to buy whatever they come out with. That's just, you're going to have that fan base, right?
Yeah.
And then those particular fans are going to go out and buy Switch 2s, which are $560 a pop, or whatever the fuck it is. It's just so weird that they're going to sit there and start now when the game is supposed to be coming out this year, right?
Again, for me, I don't know that I can necessarily sit there and say that it looks
It doesn't look bad.
It looks like
Sorry.
a good game, and a lot of people have already tested it, so I think there are people that have a better idea as to what they're looking at, and have a better idea as to if they're gonna like it. I think you and I are just very cautious about it because we may or may not like what the game has to offer. I think mechanically it's gonna run smooth like butter.
Yeah.
It like with the hypermobility and stuff, I'd love to see a single player FromSoft game that has that kind of mobility, and see
100%.
what kind of weird bosses they can make outpace like Consort Radon or whatever. But yeah, no, just like the game as it is. So like it's a very weird thing. It's got all the FromSoft earmarks that I like in a trailer, but like I just don't think I can get behind the gameplay loop.
And I think that that's just a valid conclusion to this discussion, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's the FromSoft. It's the FromSoft we know. It's the flair that keeps us intrigued. Yet the presentation and frankly the gate that's in front of it is gonna be, I think, a big issue on its end.
See, I really think that it's gonna do fine. I think
I'm
people
sure
are gonna
it'll.
get it. I think people are going to like it. I just think it's for a very specific group of people, right?
Yeah, and I was just trying to convey that I'm not gonna go out and buy a console over it, I don't think.
No.
I don't particularly think that it's going to be to that level.
No.
Personally. I know that there's going to be a lot of people who do, which is perfectly fine.
With that said, I agree with you there. Personally, I don't think it's like inherently worth like, oh, go get a Switch 2. And then you can do that, and then you can get Dark Souls on there.
Arguably, they had a better argument with Bloodborne, because that's a game that you're going to always be able to play, and that's the thing that's ultimately the thing that gets me, right? You have a Night Rain. Sorry. You have Night Rain, you have Dustbloods. What happens when they get live serviced?
Yeah, exactly. Like Bloodborne, you can go back and play. Elden Ring, you can go back and play. In fact, sometimes I think even with Bloodborne, I think there's actually people that get on periodically and you can still play with them and stuff, but like...
I think there's still quite an active player
like
count
PvP
for that
thing,
game.
yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of people loved the PvP in that game. And
Which
that just shows you the leg that these games have as far as that aspect, right? Not saying that Dustbloods isn't going to be successful. Not saying that Night Rain, to its own caliber, wasn't a successful game. My biggest thing is what's going to happen when the hype wears off, right? When the content stops. Is it still going to be entertaining? Is it still going to be one of those things that people want to go experience once they've experienced it all? Because you have smaller maps, you have this very finite feeling thing, right? I feel like you hop on Elden Ring, I hop on Elden Ring, we're gonna find something new somewhere, because that's just how baked into the nooks and crannies all of this stuff is. But you have these smaller maps that don't have that.
And like this could just be me talking out of my ass, but like here's kind of an idea from my perspective, based on like the idea of like Bloodborne itself as a very big popular PvP thing. Like, why don't they just like have their single player games, and instead of the weird summoning mechanic and invasion mechanic, you can still keep them because like a lot of fans like them. But why not
Yeah.
have like PvP like lobbies, right?
Hmm.
Like you would for like a first person shooter. Like you send them into a map and then you get matchmaked and like dedicate a portion of your game to PvP instead of having the whole thing be PvP or the whole thing just being single player with some assisted like stuff sprinkled in.
And I feel
Like
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 that would be a great idea since there's already a market for that, right? Since there's already people who are hopping on Dark Souls 3 to get a get PvP invasions in, right? Like
that's what I'm saying. Like make some lobbies and then send them out. I've gotten lost for hours before watching people just do like PvP stuff in Elden Ring.
yeah,
But like it makes it so like I buy the game, I get the single player experience, and then other people can get their PvP experience too. It makes it more accessible to other players. People get more more game.
yeah,
And like don't get me, I do understand like the market's kind of changed, right? Like they've had a lot of just like strictly multiplayer games that have been very successful. So I don't pretend to know if that one would or would not be better, but it seems like it could be a pretty good middle ground that people have done in the past that might work well for them.
yeah. I mean, you have plenty of single player games that have tacked on multiplayer aspects, right? And I'll use a specific example. You have Mass Effect 3, right? Obviously, predominantly a single player game. It
Yeah.
has a multiplayer to it that people adore. Like it's a wave-based extraction kind of objective round-based thing, right? It's like completely different to what Mass Effect 3 is as a concept, but it works for it because it's something that people can get the combat of Mass Effect 3 and all of these different abilities and playing all these different aliens that everybody was like so hyped to play, but it doesn't take away from the single player, unless you're looking at it as a statistic thing, which I'm not gonna get into that here, but Assassin's Creed 2 had a tacked on multiplayer that a lot of people loved. I'm sorry, Brotherhood. I think it was Brotherhood. That had nothing to do with the story. Like, it can be done.
GTA.
GTA.
They've been doing that for a while.
10 plus years, baby.
So like that's kind of what I'm saying. Like I've always felt like, you know, and I think here's my final thoughts on it. I think FromSoft has always been this close to making a really good like PvP multiplayer system, and I think they're trying to lean into that. So I can't fault them for it. But like, I think there's a way for them to have both the single player experience. I don't know if it'd be too much for them to do and add on, but like I don't pretend to know that aspect, but like I think if they just made the matchmaking a little easier, did specific PvP lobbies where like you can go and face people, I think people would be ecstatic about that because again, the PvP gets pretty intense in these games. So like you can make it happen and then also, and you know what, it also prevents the issues you were talking about with things like the Bloodhound Step and the Hoarfrost Stomp, because I'm pretty sure those were nerfed because of PvP reasons. But
Mm-hmm.
like, with it's if you're never gonna play PvP, all you did was take away a good fun tool that you had for your single player experience. So like,
Exactly. Like, it's when it starts to bleed together, I think that's when it begins to be a problem.
how weird another weird kind of thing to point out, and like the gameplay mechanic is based around the idea of cooperation and working together and playing together, but Pokemon, you can play that single player, right? And a lot of people do. They go in just play casually to play the new Pokemon games, see all their cute little creatures. But then you have other people that like get into the battle portion of it or the trading portion of it.
Mhm.
Like you don't have to do that to play your game, but like it's there as a feature of the game where you can trade with people or you can battle people. And some people get really competitive into into like Pokemon battling and stuff and optimize stuff, but like you as a Pokemon fan don't have to engage in that. You can just go and look at your cute little creatures and beat the Elite Four like 12 dozen times if you wanted to.
Correct. But yeah, I think that's where I think it's where we're gonna rest our case on it. It's a great looking FromSoft game
That
that
we're probably not gonna play.
we're probably not gonna play. And if we do, will it be worth it? I suppose we'll find out someday.
Maybe.